I didn't know if I was going to get there in time. Welcome to another week of Soccer Down Here. Soccer's morning show. John, here, you there. Hopefully you're dry. There are some places this morning that are catching a little thunder. And I know that there are certain animals that are not fans. And so there's all of that we got to go through this morning. But once again, it's a Reaction Monday. So whatever's on your mind. And as I've told you before, I want Mondays and Tuesdays, good, bad, indifferent, what have you. I want you to get it out. And whatever's on your mind, it's what the Twitch pitch is for. It's what the conversation is all about. Just go ahead and say it, and we'll work through it. So whatever's on your mind about what happened over the weekend, it could be, it could be about Atlanta United. It could be about any team that you have. Obviously, Atlanta United being the hammer here, but whatever's on your mind. Atlanta United, any other teams, any other events. We do have some other things in morning, Alex. We do have some other things in Major League Soccer to talk about, and they're pretty. How do we phrase this? They're pretty dangerous, and it's it's stuff that's not cool that happened allegedly, possibly, and we'll walk through it. But there was a matchup that happened on the weekend, and it ended ugly. I mean, it ended ugly. And then after the match, you had some intimations, accusations. There was some stuff that was put out there that, if one aspect of it, if it's true, somebody's probably out of a job. If it's not true, somebody's probably out of a job. So you've got all of that stuff, and you're looking at all of that, and see now, the thing I love about Abe, among all the things, is that Abe wants to dial in early. I think Abe is kind of treating until further notice. I think Abe is treating Reaction Monday like a Band-Aid. It's just like, rah, just get it. Look, Abe's not supposed to be here till 9:15. Abe is already dialed up and ready to go. Either Abe's got a lot to get off his chest, or he just wants to treat this like a Band-Aid. And he's just like, I know that I've got to get in here with Nelson, and I know we got to talk. So I'm not even going to get into opening kickoff this morning. I will when Abe leaves. But opening kickoff has to do with an incident that happened that led to possibly previous incidents and backstory and a lot of things having to do with a matchup that happened this weekend. So we'll get into that, but it's about NYCFC in Toronto. That's what we're going to talk about after we talk to Abe and find out what's going on in Abe's mind. So as always here on Monday, I tried to filibuster to 9:15. I couldn't quite get it to work, but I figured you just wanted to get stuff off your chest, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I always pop in, just try and kind of catch the vibe and see how people are feeling. A couple days removed from whatever we witness on Saturday or Sunday at the Benz or on the road. And unfortunately, I don't feel like the vibe has changed very much today from how it was Saturday night.
No, for those that didn't get the chance to listen to the post-game show after the 3-2 loss with Atlanta and DC United, what was the overall vibe, not just of everyone who was contributing from listenership, viewership, being there in person, but with you and Garrett? What was your initial thoughts? And now that things have gone another 36 hours, what's going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously tough to ignore the winless streak, if you want to call it a losing streak, the disappointment week after week after week. You can't ignore that. But this was a game that felt different from some of the others. I think you could argue in previous matches, Atlanta had opportunities, maybe didn't finish, but you could argue that they did outplay or to an extent play even with their opponents. And on Saturday night, that was just not the case. It was a situation where, despite the fact that you did a couple things that we laid out in the pregame, including getting on the scoreboard first. Ultimately, it didn't matter because the one thing we also suggested was don't let Christian Benteke beat you. And not only did he beat you once, not only did he beat you twice, but he beat you thrice. And it was a situation where that is the most frustrating to me because you knew going into this match, that was the one thing you couldn't have happen is let this guy get loose in front of net on crosses and corners and aerial duels. And you let it happen to the point where it sent you home once again with 0 points. So this is now a different discussion because in previous weeks, you've at least had some momentum. The result didn't go your way, but there was some positives, not very many positives. And the momentum is going in the wrong direction right now. And look, I know people are going to jump out and say, well, that's why you should fire Pineda. And I understand that. The frustration, the results, they do speak for themselves.
Yeah.
The only question I ask is, what do you think would be different without him? The players are not out of energy. They are not done playing for this man. That's very clear.
Right.
The tactics are not the issue here in this game. Now, would I maybe have figured out a better way to defend Christian Benteke? And maybe for one moment we can attack some tactics from that perspective. But on the whole, you have players who you are paying an exorbitant amount of money that are not performing. And it's on them. I just refuse to believe that it's a situation where we just wholly blame Pineda for not being able to man mark once you get out onto the field or to beat a guy to a header inside the box or to clear a second ball so that the third ball doesn't come in, whatever the examples are.
Yeah.
I understand the decisions that have to be made. At some point, you do have to have a discussion about these are the results and you cannot ignore them. But it's also just very difficult to look at them and say a different coach would be doing better with this team right now. So it's kind of this weird scenario where we keep waiting for things to flip in the right direction. And this was quite a step backwards, to be honest. Then you look at the schedule coming up and you're like, all right, well, maybe they can get hot, go on a run. It's like, when? You got a road game at Cincinnati. You got a road game at Nashville. You got Inter Miami coming up, LAFC. Like, the schedule is not conducive to you going on a run. The part of the schedule that was conducive to you going on a run, you just went through without going on that run, right? You talk about Minnesota, Chicago, and then Saturday night as well against DC United. Like, those were the opportunities and you swung and missed. And so it's going to be very difficult without some incredibly unexpected results, in my opinion, to see Pineda coaching at this time next month.
When you look back and I guess think about it, I mean, obviously when you and Garrett have the post-game show, it's more of an instantaneous reaction to what happened. When you look at it now, 36 hours past it, or however the hell many hours we're past it now, it seemed like at times you had players, I think, that were trying to create too hard. You might have seen some pressing. It's like, okay, we've got to work that much faster in our brains and with our feet to try to get something happening. You're up a goal, then you're down 2, and then you're back to 2-2, and then it's 3-2, and it just seems like when you're chasing and chasing and chasing, and you've been chasing as much as you have, it looked like there was some pressing that was going on.
Yeah, especially after that third goal in the 55th or so minute, it looked like for the last 30 minutes, it was like 30 minutes of stoppage time play. Like, that was the style and mindset mentality of Atlanta United. It was like, we got to get this back immediately, as opposed to working your way through some things and developing a couple things. And obviously, you also have a situation where you make a couple substitutions that kind of changes the formation and who's doing what. And then you make some more subs and kind of switch it back a little bit. And so there was a little bit of chaos in the last 35 minutes of that game. But yeah, I agree with you. And it was a moment, and I forgot if it was Jason Longshore or Mike Conley who kind of mentioned it. It was a moment that looked like and felt like the players felt the pressure that is on the team and on their manager, and wanted to play for their manager and just did it a little bit to the wrong side of things. And so can you take that energy? Can you kind of find a way to utilize it and maximize it potentially. But again, a very difficult schedule coming up. But I mean, look, in every sport, that you can tell me as many times as you want, we don't read social media, we don't see those things. I'm not listening to the radio, but the reality is, yes, you are. And there's no way you can possibly ignore the conversation being had by the Atlanta soccer community. And look, this is different from the other coaches who have been fired. This is a guy that is beloved by his players and by the staff and by, for the most part, fans, to be honest. Everyone in the media, to be honest. No one has a curse word to say about Gonzalo Pineda, but the results are the results. And you do understand at some point those discussions have to be had. And I think the players are kind of waking up to that and saying, all right, so what can we do to kind of end these discussions? And they were trying to do that, but just like in baseball, if you grip a fastball too hard, you're not going to be able to control it. It takes the right amount of pressure, the right amount of release, all that stuff. And so we saw that a little bit on Saturday night. Hopefully, maybe that's a lesson learned and they can correct that. And who knows, maybe Wednesday you have a shock result on the road at TQL Stadium.
Well, and I think you make a valid point here, is that I think that if Gonzalo Pineda had lost the team, and I would use air quotes here, if he's lost the team, then you would not see the continued fight that you see in them, where if they're down a goal, it's like, all right, fine. Yeah, we're down a goal. I don't know what we can do here. You're not seeing that. You're seeing a continued effort by whomever is out there on the pitch for Atlanta United to continue to chase after results and chase after results and chase after results. And I think that to your point, because they understand that, because they haven't given up on their coach, because they haven't given up on the philosophy, that's why you continue to see all of these things that you're seeing when it comes to Atlanta United. If it was different, it would be like, and it probably would have been a lot sooner than, say, this past week. It would have been like, yeah, all right, fine, But no, you still see that effort that is there. When Gigi post-match says that it was embarrassing, and then it's like, okay, they understand it. But once again, it dials back to that idea of pressure and trying to be there for that coach. Like I said, I don't think they've given up on him at all.
No, certainly not. You talk about the fight. You talk about the energy as well. And look, they're pretty careful with their comments, but you can read between the lines a little bit. They're frustrated as well that performance isn't finding results, and so whether it's an individual performance, individual moments, or just the team overall, they're still doing what he's asking. This is not like a mutiny of any sort. In fact, far from it. I think because of that, Pineda's being given a much longer leash than maybe another guy would have been. I thought there was opportunities. If you want to look at this match Saturday, and say that, well, look, this is the worst we've looked since the start of this winless streak. You're out of here. They could have done that. And I know it's a short week and time gets difficult and all that stuff. But if you were really looking for an excuse to get that guy out of the franchise, you would have done it Saturday night. I think it's very clear that they don't want to fire Gonzalo Pineda. But again, the results at some point may dictate a decision has to be made. You're still early enough in the season, things can turn around. Mm-hmm. The MLS playoff format will allow you to have some real bad runs in the course of a season. But if you get hot at the right time, who knows what can happen. And so you got to keep that in mind. The Eastern Conference is incredibly muddled once you get to like 4 or 5, more so 5.
Yeah.
And so there's still opportunities to get wins. Again, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to find a way to get points on the road. There's no denying that. You might place extra importance now on the U.S. Open because of what ultimately it means if you do win that tournament. And obviously you feel pretty good about who you have and who you're facing with the potential to move in to the quarterfinals, the round of 8 after this one. So there's still a lot of things at play here. But again, you're still relatively early in the season. You're not so far gone. You had one really bad performance this past weekend. There's no denying that. But you've had some others that you should have been rewarded and weren't. You're still hoping that can turn around. That maybe some performances do see you rewarded, potentially as early as Wednesday. But you're going to have to buck a brutal trend, which is road success under Gonzalo Pineda has been few and far between. What happens if you do win a game? How do those conversations start to change? And so, really looking forward to Wednesday night because it is a situation, and I've been kind of hesitant to use the term desperation
Yeah.
a little bit, but you're getting real close to calling these games desperate times for yes, for the organization, but certainly for Gonzalo Pineda.
You mentioned Cincinnati. Obviously, that's I want to know, and we can pay attention to Laurel Pfahler and everybody else up there. I want to know what their lineup looks like in the midweek. Nashville, for me, is going to be another interesting one because Nashville, you don't know which Nashville you're going to get. Is it going to be the one that has not been scoring, that has not been defending, that has been giving up a lot of goals? Or is it the one where Sam Surridge has decided that he wants to show up and be that second goal scorer for Nashville? So I mean, it's going to be an interesting week for a bunch of different reasons because of who you're playing, the obstacles that they present or don't present, and then what you have to do. If you have a good week, you can rocket up the standings in a very crowded Eastern Conference. And I think that whenever you want to make up that match that Atlanta has in hand, you have that good week, you can continue to get into that muddled group that we know is going to be there all season long.
Yeah, look, the standings are going to play themselves out, and you can move up and down them very quickly, but it's a lot easier to move up it quickly than down it quickly based on how results are coming. The bottom line here, and it's an incredibly tall task, is like 4 points
Yeah.
over these next two games.
Yeah.
And whether it's Wednesday night at Cincinnati, whether it's on the weekend in a early game against Nashville, you got to find at least 3, but really you got to try and find 4, and you got that with the looming U.S. Open Cup, and you're right. The reserves, the substitution patterns, it's going to be very difficult to predict exactly where they're heading with this because you've got so many different variables than let's just go win the game today. You obviously can't let a win at Cincinnati or a draw at Cincinnati cost you a win or a draw at Nashville. So a lot of different things have to be considered right now. But ultimately, the bottom line is you got to start finding results. And I don't care if you look good finding results or look bad finding results. They've got to be results. My buddy Grant McCauley, who covers the Atlanta Braves, says you can win ugly. Or excuse me, you can win ugly, but you can't lose pretty. There is no style to losses because they ultimately end up in the same manner. And I don't care how it looks, but if you get 3 points, we're all going to go home happy, especially after the run that Atlanta United has suffered. No one's going to sit here and say, yeah, I know they won, but did you see this? Did you see that? No, it's going to be, can you believe they went on the road and took 3 points from Cincinnati? Can you believe they went on the road against Nashville and grabbed all 3? I mean, so I don't care how it looks. They got to find some results. And yes, like it's going to be very interesting because if you do, you go from like 10th to 7th to 3rd or 5th, like real quickly. In the space, you get 6 points in 1 week, you're jumping some spots. So the opportunity is still there. It is still a long season in front of you, and you're really not that far from where you need to be in terms of points. Now the problem is the effort we saw on Saturday night, the performance. Is that the direction the team is moving? Because that was a step back performance-wise. We obviously need to turn that around and move forward in performance. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what corrections get made and stuff like that. And you go back to Saturday night, and that's where some of the situations you've been dealing with really hurt you. Stian Gregerson being out for this game at 6'3", handling Benteke. It's so, despite how well Noah Cobb has played and performed, it can't be understated how you were set up to actually defend him with Gregerson, to having that been removed from taken off the table. And now you're just playing guys back there that you kind of hope can get the job done, but without that confidence. And again, nothing against him or Abram. it's always an incredibly difficult task. But that's one where you would have wanted 6'3" Steon Gregerson in there.
Yeah, you had Brooks, who was helping out at times, and then I think it was the second goal for Benteke, and I will stipulate that Christian Benteke is a unicorn. I mean, literally, he's 6'4", 240. I mean, look, he's a zero technique. I mean, the Falcons could use a guy with that kind of size. And I think it was the second goal where he basically just shot the A gap right between the two of them, and ended up getting the position to get that second goal. So dealing with Christian Benteke is something that, to your point, I think that had Steon Gregerson been healthy, you would have had that even joust all the way through the entire time. And then not having Steon there, you have a couple of days to figure out your game plan and make sure that that Benteke, even if he gets that first ball, that he's not able to do something with it once it settles, because we saw that when Benteke would gain possession, he would work it out to either Pereira or Stroud out to his left, attacking right, and then that would create the chances to send it back into Benteke. And so, you have Troy Lesane. We now know what he has firsthand involving Christian Benteke, my friend.
Yeah, I'll be honest, and it would have been an incredibly tall task for him as well. I was wondering if they would actually bring in Efrain Morales.
Yeah.
Just from a physical standpoint, knowing what Benteke was going to try to do against you, I was kind of wondering if they were going to start Morales. They went with Cobb, and that's understandable. Morales was thrown in there, kind of emergency situation previously, and do you want his first real taste of MLS action against a team you actually believe can beat you, being against Christian Benteke? But from a physical standpoint, I kind of had a wonder, and then ultimately it did cost you. But this was a solid win for DC United, and I mean that guy in the middle, he knows how to beat you, and it's not just one way. And what I mean by that is he can hold up play, he can deliver the outlet, and then find his spot where he needs to be. And as we saw, he doesn't miss many headers when he's inside the six.
Yeah.
If he's close enough to put it on frame, he's probably close enough to put it past your keeper, and he certainly did that. Unfortunately for Atlanta United 3 times, but gonna be fun watching some DC United games just to see what Benteke is doing as this season continues on.
And I know that we're pushing 9:30, which means that you have to take someone OUT, because I don't want to get to 9:30 and have the alarm sounding that you.
Well, she's laying on the bed right now, but that can change very quickly. So we went out earlier. It's a little wet, a little rainy. So
and that's what I was thinking about, also making sure that the egress happened before the weather happened, and so that way everything is all in its one spot.
She's a little wet, but I think we'll be all right. But no, Chipper's laying on the bed, a little happy little husky. So
there's no such thing as a little husky, sir. I don't think that's ever the
case. She's 48 pounds. She's mid size.
Okay, all right,
mid range.
Okay, so what's going on with you in 92.9?
Yeah, we're gearing up for it. Just like you said, like we know, a lot of games coming up, and unfortunately 3 of the 4 on the road. So I will be in studio on Wednesday night with Garrett. Obviously, Mike and Jason will be there live at TQL Stadium, and then early action on the weekend, Saturday. Pregame will start at 12:30 on 92.9 The Game as we face Nashville there at 1:30, and then we're continuing to be involved with the U.S. Open Cup. I know we'll speak before then, but we'll have full coverage of the U.S. Open Cup, as well as Atlanta United heads a little bit towards the Carolinas. So a lot of matches coming up. I think it's 6 in 22 days or something, whatever the number is. So, just a lot of coverage, and hopefully we can get some points and get moving in the right direction. I think there's a lot of negative talk right now that 3 points in Cincinnati, if you can find a way, and I don't really have answers to how you do that, but if you could find a way, I think we could move hopefully forward and not bring this up every single time United takes the pitch.
No doubt about it. At Abe Gordon at 92 at 929 the game. As always, my friend, thanks for dropping by on a Reaction Monday and not boycotting as you continue to threaten to do so. It's always great to catch up with you, my friend.
You got it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
There we go. That's Abe, and we're going to next time we talk to Abe, we're going to be talking about what happened over 2 matches. It's going to be about Cincinnati. It's going to be about Nashville, and then leading into Open Cup. And Dell is threatening all of us. Wants us all to come down to Charleston. I know that there's going to be broadcast plans from 92.9 the game. I don't know specifically what they are going to be yet, but I would wholeheartedly anticipate / imagine what that there's going to be a whole lot of activity. I want to see how many 17s make the trip to Charleston because, I mean, if you look at Open Cup and you look at the matchups that are there, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the Open Cup on the 21st and 22nd pan out because you've got Charleston and Atlanta, NYCFC 2 hosting New Mexico United on top of the parking deck at St. John's, Sporting and FC Tulsa, Sacramento, San Jose, LAFC, and Loudoun. Indy 11, Detroit City. It's 5 matches, and then it's 3 matches. Indy 11, Detroit City, Tampa Bay FC, Dallas, Seattle, and Phoenix. There's a window there. And Jarrett, in our conversations, just casually going back and forth with each other this weekend, there are conversations that can be had about Atlanta United making a deep run in U.S. Open Cup. We all know what that is and what that can lead to. Bottom of the hour, and it's time to bring in Nick Alifi for a Reaction Monday. Reaction, Nick Alifi, how are you? Good to hear your voice, sir.
Oh well, it's good to be here. I'm very excited to be here today.
Mm-hmm.
The caffeine's been working, so we got some things happening here. We got some things. We have feelings. We have thoughts.
Yeah. So that's why we're here on Reaction Mondays to react. I feel like Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Rancho Palos Verdes. Inland Empire. Yorba Linda. I want to hear from you.
People are saying they can't hear me.
I can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Just crowd the microphone a little bit, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll need to go. Yeah, I need to go get my microphone, I guess. All right. Okay. So what do we want to talk about? The quote Cody Rhodes.
Well, but no, if you're gonna do that, then we've got to do it the way that we do have in the drop zone here. We do have that.
So what do you guys want to talk about?
There you go. So it's there, and now that I sit there and see that the volume was way low, maybe I'll do it again just so I can reinforce what's going on with Cody.
So what do you guys want to talk about?
There we go.
Yeah, so it's there. So what do you want to talk about, Nick Alifi?
I was at the game, so I want to, and we'll talk Bart. We'll talk Bart. Don't you yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So the game was extraordinarily frustrating for me, and I don't plan on sugarcoating any of this. So
wait, you and sugarcoating what?
No, I'm not going to do that. No. Remember what we talked about last week, where I said a manager's job is to get you from 18 to 18, right?
Yeah.
So you go from your own 18 to your opponent's 18. Atlanta's very good at that. But you also have to drop back to your own 18 to defend. It looked like defensively they were a mess, Atlanta United. DC in transition just exploited Atlanta. I don't think there's any way around that. There were moments, especially on the first goal, where DC recovers the ball in the back, and there were 3 Atlanta United players surrounding the left back. I can't remember the player's name. And somehow they got out of that. Race down the field, Benteke puts the ball in the back of the net. To me, that was the most egregious problem there. You have Mosquera, who is leaving Wiley 2-on-1. in that situation. It just seemed like Mosquera was doing a great. I mean, his work rate was fantastic, right? Running back and forth, but he was a black hole in the attack. The minute he gets the ball near in an attacking position, he loses it. God bless him, the kid's trying.
Mhm.
But this is pro sports, not amateur sports. This isn't an over 30 league where we have to make sure everybody gets their time playing. It looked like there were a lot of players who were trying really, really hard
Mm-hmm.
to play for Gonzo. I don't think Gonzo's lost the team, but I do think Gonzo's lost the fan base. And this is a relationship between the team and the fans. And relationships aren't always healthy. And right now I don't feel that the relationship between the fan base and the team is very healthy at the moment. I also don't think that I don't think that there's necessarily a way out of this where Pineda keeps his job, whether it's in the next week or at the end of the year. And I said this in our production chat, I thought it was going to be like between now and Wednesday. Right after the game, I'm like, yeah, by Wednesday, I think he's going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started looking at the run of games that are coming up, the away, the compression, the number of games you have in a very short period of time. I don't think he's gone at this point because now you're in a marketing job if you're Atlanta United. I think the decision's made. I have no evidence to back that. I'm completely talking out of my ass at the moment.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that that decision's already made. I hate it because Gonzalo Pineda is genuinely one of the nicest dudes I have met in this sport.
Yeah.
Met a lot of people, a lot of different leagues. Pineda is without question one of the nicest guys I've ever met. The results aren't there. It's a black and white thing. The results aren't there.
No, and this is a results-based business at the end.
It is. And I want Pineda to succeed. I want Pineda to somehow have a Disney moment where everything turns around, the team starts winning, and it's like angels in the outfield.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to have that. But Atlanta United is in a marketing position right now. You're marketing your team to whoever the next manager is going to be. Agents are going to look, and I always talk about the agents because those are the people who are aiding the decision making for players and managers. So you have to look at it from their point of view. The agents are looking at this team and they're saying, okay, they fired Frank DeBoer, even with the COVID situation and the bubble, right?
Yeah.
You fire Frank DeBoer, you fire Heinze, you're running interim managers. You now are going to what? You're going to fire Pineda midseason. What proof do you have that this is going to be a stable situation for me to either leave Europe, leave South America, or come out of the television booth to come and coach your team? Like, how am I going to have time to implement a system if this is a turnstile? Whether or not reality says that this is a turnstile or not, that's the impression you're going to give if you get Pineda out midseason.
Yeah.
It just is. So it sucks and it's terrible and I hate it. But, I think that it is what it is. I think the decision's been made. I think they're probably having more conversations about timing than anything else. And no, Jesse Marsh is not the answer, Mr. Schaefer. And I love the press. I love the press. I am the high priest of press.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it. However, I don't believe that necessarily Marsh, you're not getting a version of the Red Bull system that is flexible, right? You're not getting like the press flex where you're going to press to high heaven and then do an excellent job retaining the ball. You're not going to have that. You are going to have press to kingdom come. Okay, the guys are tired. Press to kingdom come. Okay, we have a lot of injuries. Press to kingdom come. It's the one answer. And then what happens when somebody gives you the ball? Okay, great. There's the ball. Have it. You know, Red Bull's New Jersey version. They may have a lot of supporter shields. They have 0 MLS Cups. Philly has no MLS Cups. Any of these other crazy pressing teams come out of the gate, ultra badass, wreck shop. The last 15 minutes of a half, last 15 minutes of a game, you're going to give up really stupid goals. Toward the end of the season, your players are all maxed out. They all have too much wear and tear. I don't think that Marsh is the guy who will lead Atlanta United to the promised land. And I know as a pressing, as a lover of the press, it pains me to say that, but I don't think so. But and Michael had asked if isn't 2.5 years long enough. I would say yes, but there are agents out there who will steer you away from the idea. The idea is finishing the season, right? That's the selling point. That, hey, look, Atlanta United gave this dude 3 full seasons to work this out. It ain't happening. So let's get him, let's get him out. Let's bring in someone else. If you're an agent, you can sit there and say, okay, 3 full seasons. You'll have plenty of time to implement your system. You're a better manager than that guy is. Your tactics are better. This is a good situation to go into. You're going to get paid well. You have a huge stadium. The experience is going to be great, but they want a winner. To me, that's an easier sell. I know 2.5 years. And look, I think that if you remove Pineda going into summer, you have an option to get a European manager. So if you are targeting a European manager, then you may want to remove Pineda before summer. If you're targeting an American manager, the answer, or a manager who coaches in America, rather, you don't want to do that. You go to the end of the season and see what the market looks like. So, to me, you got to let Pineda finish out the season, but that all depends on the relationship between Pineda and the team. If Pineda says, hey, look, if I'm out, just get me out.
Yeah.
Fine. Then great. You know what? We mutually part ways and we call it good.
Bart had a thought, and it had to do with the back line. And while you were discussing what was going on, here's Bart's question. Legit question is, how does this team perform when we get Gregerson and Derek Williams back? It's very true. We've conceded a ton of goals in their absence. Okay, So to that point, while you were talking, I went back into the not-so-way-back machine.
Okay.
When do you think, sir, capital S,
mm-hmm.
the last time that this starting 11 was your starting 11? Brad, Caleb, DW, Gregerson, Brooks, Tiago, Tristan, Bart, Gigi, Bart Sliege,
Mm-hmm.
Gigi, Saba, and Shande. When was the last time that starting 11 was your starting 11?
What, March?
Match day 3, March 17th.
There we go.
7 matches ago was the last time you had that lineup as your starting 11.
That's logic.
I'm sorry.
It's logic. I get it. It's logic. It makes sense. It's completely rooted in reality.
But.
Yes, but what we've talked about is the relationship between the fans and the team. The team, and this is across all sports.
Yeah.
Teams like to wall off and say, we don't care about outside perception. We're going to do what we do. when we win, people will back us. If the losses are there, it's then we'll figure it out and we'll work it out. You are 2 months away from season ticket renewals. If you want to maintain a season ticket waiting list, if you want to maintain your viability in group ticket sales, you have to put a winner on the field. There are teams around the league. Every team deals with injuries. Every team deals with setbacks, schedule compression. Atlanta United is not in a vacuum with having to deal with that. So there are teams, and I'm waiting for Jason to come launching through the screen or knock on my door to come shoot me like Anton Chigurh and No Country for Old Men. Philly has no problem dealing. Philly still finds a way to make life a living hell, no matter who's on the pitch. There are teams out there that find ways to make games a living hell for you, no matter who's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't have, what that argument says is that Atlanta's a Ferrari. That Atlanta is a Ferrari that when it rains, when the weather is slightly suboptimal, you put it in the garage and pretend it doesn't exist. We have to be able to play in suboptimal conditions. And we have to be able to at least get some basic results with the players on the field. I would push back against the March 17th comment by saying that you've had plenty of time for this backup roster to figure things out from a chemistry standpoint and still be able to get results. And the fact that you haven't been able to do that tells me that, there's some greater challenges here. Either one, there's not that, there's some issue with cohesion, or players feel like they have to freelance because things are, breaking down in times of challenge, or there's an issue with management.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have enough insight to know which one it is, but I do know it's a hell of a lot cheaper to get rid of a manager than it is a team. And that's typically what they do. I think that if Rigerson and Williams are back and it's successful, I think that is the best hope for Pineda. I really do. But to tell me that we had our primetime superstar lineup as last time was March 17th. If judging by our calendar, it is May 13th. That is a significant period of time for the players who have been playing to find some sort of chemistry together or to figure things out, to not give up goals in bunches. That's my 2 cents. And I'm willing to hear opposite opinions on this.
And to your point, and I wish I had a date calendar crossover here, but so if we look at activity, let's see, and this is where like I said, this is where I need to have like my day-to-day calendar as opposed to the actual schedule calendar. But March 23rd was your starting lineup of Brad Brooks, Derek, Tristan, Saba, Nick Firmino, Dax McCarty, Tyler Wolf, Jamal, Ronald, and Noah. You did not have Gregerson for the next 5 after March 17. You only had, if you want to say March 31st, without Stian, that was where you had 10 of your 11. You had, of that 11 that I'm referencing, 2, 4, 6, you had everybody but Stian, Shande, and Gigi. Remember, so you had Gigi out for 3. You have had Stian out for 5, on the bench for 1, and then a sub possibility on the 4th of May. Then let's see, you had 2, 7. Once again, you didn't have Stian, Derek, Shande, or Gigi on the 14th of April.
Mm-hmm.
You did not start Stian. You did not have Stian or Derek. You subbed in Shande and Gigi on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
You did not have Stian. You did not have Derek. You did not have Shande on the 27th of April. And then the 4th, Stian was a sub. You had Derek. You did not have Derek. You did not have Shande. So Legitimately, the first time after March 17, you only had 5 of the 11, and you had Shonda as a sub. 10 of 11 on the 31st for 6. 8 of the 11 for that next match. 7 of 11 for the following match. 7 with 2 subs for the following match. So, like I said, you can take the numbers however you want, but that last time that you had all 11,
Mm-hmm.
that starting 11 was back on March 17th.
Right. No, and again,
yeah,
I there will be people who will say, "Well, Nick's talking out of both sides of his mouth," and that's fine. But two things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It can be you can have a suboptimal lineup, right? And you can have where it's also not an excuse. And a lot of other teams are dealing with the same things that we are.
Yeah, because you construct a roster so you don't have the issues that you would have otherwise. That's why you construct the depth the way that you do for a roster.
Right. And I do think that, again, if you are looking at it from an attacking standpoint, Atlanta has no problem getting down to the 18. Where the problems come in is that we are trying to be Barcelona inside the 18. We're trying to be Barcelona prime. We have players back healing to each other. You have players that are overcomplicating basic moments, like where it's like, okay, ball's at my foot, pull the trigger. And to be fair, you know, you have players who are really good, at moving the ball around. But when you get inside the 18, you've done a tremendous amount of work to get down to the opponent's 18. When you get inside of there, baby, just put the ball in the back of the net. That's it. At that point, it's on you and your skill. The manager's tactics will not do you any good once you get inside that phone booth. And that's what it is. Once you get down to the phone booth, you have to immediately put the ball on frame. And this is where my pressing persona comes out.
Yes.
When you're in transition play, and let's think about this for a moment. Everybody from youth game up, when you're in a goal kick situation, what do you always hear your coach yell? Get wide, get wide, get wide, right? What does that create? Create space, right? And when you have a transition moment, this is where the Marsh system, and this is where Dell's going to be screaming at me. This is what I'm saying. The Red Bull system states, and this is going back to Ralph Rangnick, that you need to put the ball on frame in 10 seconds. Because if you don't do that, the opposition has time to close the space down, right?
Yep.
DC left themselves exposed when they were doing their little bunker counter fun party thing, would leave themselves exposed in the back. Atlanta would be on a transition, and in moments where they should have been ruthless, in my opinion, and gone right to the goal, instead you had these cutback passes. Okay, we're going to start the cycle over again. DC would throw everyone behind the line, and then you would get caught in their bunker again.
And I think that there's nothing wrong at times with being selfish.
Right. And, and Mosquera, God bless him. You could see it. You could see it when Mosquera tried cutting into the box, cut like 2 or 3 times. That man legitimately believed, okay, I'm going to cut. I'm going to move. I'm going to have a clear shot on goal. You could see the way he was playing, what he was trying to get at. He just developed feet of concrete in the 18. I mean, it happened. But you could see what he was trying to do. The issue is in transition moments, you're getting killed. Either you are getting killed or you're killing yourself. We did not close down enough space when they were transitioning, and we left gaps wide open. And then at the same time, when we were attacking, we kept cutting back and starting our cycle over again that allowed DC to bunker. And when you got into that sort of model, it became very predictable of what was going to happen.
And your left back was either Dahomey or Peltola, whoever it was on that first.
Yeah. It's, you're asking a lot of your defenders whenever you have players who are not getting back fast enough. Mosquera would move, would shoot forward, and there was there was like I lost count of the number of times that Wiley looked up and realized, holy Jesus, I got two people at me, right? Or there would be situations where you had 2-on-2 on the wing. One DC player would shoot between them, and then there was this like quick moment of recognition amongst the Atlanta United players. Okay, who's got the runner? Right? There was slow recognition of runners, which I was screaming at the top of my lungs the whole time. There were these two gentlemen behind us who I'm sure thought I was an absolute psychopath. But there has to be better communication with picking up runners. We're not doing that. And you see it whenever you have a DC player cutting across horizontally, and there's nobody going with them. And I know part of it's like, okay, well, you don't want to pull somebody completely out because then that creates a space. But at the same time, you don't want to allow space either. So you're going to have to pick your poison. And if it's anybody other than Benteke, I mean, my God, follow them, because you know where the ball's going.
Yeah.
It's a funnel. DC's a funnel. The ball's going to Benteke. It's going to the right or the left. It's going to be lofted in. Benteke is going to jump and head it. It's clear
or he's going to settle, send it back out to the wing, and then they recycle it because all the action drifts away from Benteke, and he can do his magic and work from behind.
Right, and so it to me, that was one of the most glaring, frustrating issues was our inability to call out runners on defense and to have a clear idea of if someone runs, who's got him. Like that should be, and you saw a lot of arms going up. Like, how did this happen? How did this person how did I end up with a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1? And so it's to me, it's frustrating because that's communication. And that's something that when you're on the field, a manager can have whatever tactics they want. It could be Pep freaking Guardiola. It can be prime Jose Mourinho. It doesn't matter. When you're on the field, the players are making calls, and it's not FIFA. It's not, it's not Football Manager. The players are going to make the call.
Mm-hmm.
The players have to be better about communicating who has the runner, who's going to be, if there's too much space, hey, Mosquera, baby, you got to come back faster. So to me, that's part of the issues that must be solved. And, if you have to play a little boring to do it, then that's fine. But if you want to go out on your sword, that's fine as well. But there's too many gaps on defense that are not being addressed. It's leading to really stupid goals. And I think that the freelancing that's happening, you can have Schließ or you can have Mayumba freelance. You can't have both of them doing it, because when you have a few replacements on your back line, right, going back to the March 17th conversation,
mm-hmm.
Your 6 and 8 have to be in clear communication to shield your back line,
right,
to funnel the ball into predictable positions where you could try to make a stop. If you're going against somebody like DC with Benteke, where they're going to loft it in and Benteke is going to try just to go up and go get it, do you want to funnel them necessarily wide? Probably not, because you know what they're going to do. I would almost invite them, come right down the middle at us, and we're going to keep locking that attack down. But we're not going to let you just go out to the wings and do your Loftapalooza and essentially let Benteke be Brian Finneran and just the unstoppable Madden play.
Right.
So there's so much here that can be broken down, but it was painful.
According to Doug Robertson at the AJC, Stian Gregerson is training today. So he is out a part of the group getting ready for Cincinnati in the midweek. So one step closer to having everybody back. I don't know what the timeline is on Derek. I think it's another couple of weeks to have Derek Williams back at 100%. But good that Stian Gregerson is training today. Obviously, don't know what his minutes and numbers are going to be in the midweek. Maybe it's to be on the bench to spell some folks for Cincinnati and then be ready for the matchup in Nashville, where you're going to have to try and pin down a combination of Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge. Okay, I got that out of my system. Did it look like to you, and I looked at SofaScore just to get the numbers, and the back line all had 6s. Brooks and Caleb had 6 9s. Noah had a 6.4. Luis Abram with a yellow had a 6.1. Tristan had a 6.5. Bart Sleesh had a 7. Saba had a 6.9. Tiago a 7.4, as did Gigi, and Mosqueda had a 6.2. Did it look like they were pressing at times to you, trying to create and possibly creating too much, or trying to force things when they were down, trying to lend that last, say, 30, 35 minutes like Abe was talking about in hour number 1? Did it look like they were pressing?
It looked like they were. It looked like people were trying too hard individually.
Yeah.
To force something to happen. That's why I said, it's clear to me that Pineda has not lost the team.
Right.
Because we've all seen when teams have been sandbagging and to get a manager out, right? You have players who are becoming infuriated. I mean, you had Almada with a very, very cynical challenge.
Yeah.
You had, a couple of players that really were doing things out of character. Their frustrations there. They were all running their asses off. I don't think that is, I don't think that is a debate, really.
Yeah.
But I think there are times when you have players who decided to go off the reservation a bit, and it led to turnovers that were very costly.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's when you talk about, okay, you're trying to make things happen. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to carry the ball. I'll do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the ball all the way down myself. Okay, great. No one's covering for you behind.
Yeah.
And as a result, now we have a turnover and the ball's coming right back at us. So what good was that? Again, I can't believe I'm quoting Anton Chigurh, but if the rule you follow led you to this, of what use was the rule?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's where we are.
Yeah. Emilio is asking you about the fan support, saying he says it's been exhausting for the fans to stay engaged for 90 minutes.
Ooh, okay. We're gonna get spicy. All right.
All right.
There was a video that surfaced of the supporter section yelling.
You're going to reference that one. Okay.
I will. Yeah. Right. Yelling, and I'm going to try to keep.
We're blanking ish.
Yeah, we're blanking ish.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessary.
No, I thought that was real classy.
That, to me, that's just not necessary, right? If the team was sandbagging and clearly just trying to get the manager shoved out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I can buy that. But to me, it was obvious that the players were really trying, maybe trying too hard. And you're having fun. There's not much to be happy about in that game. You're trying to find any way to keep yourself entertained. I get it. I really do. It's just not a decision I would make, to scream or sing we're effing ish
Yeah.
at our own players.
Right.
To me, that come on, man. But it's a relationship. The fans at times need to generate enthusiasm and excitement. It is not a religious cult. The fans in the stands are not a religious cult. It is not their job to,
Except maybe Texas A&M.
yeah. Well, A&M, is different, and I'm sure Boca and Racing and Independiente and I'm sure there are plenty of teams in South America that would disagree with us. But I can tell you, here in the United States, it is not a cult. So you can't be asked to act like a cult. And it's a two-sided relationship where there are times, and when you get in a long-term committed relationship, you learn this.
Yeah. There
are times when your partner is at 80% and you're at 20%, and the relationship works.
Mm-hmm. Because that day I got you.
That day I got you.
Yeah.
Right. I'm on top of my game. You're having a struggle. We'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
There are days where that's flip-flop. Okay. And it just works. No one's keeping track. No one's keeping score. It's what happens. But where you start getting issues is when both partners are at 30%.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, we have a major issue here. So how are we going to address those situations? And right now I feel like we are in a position where in this relationship, the team is at 30%. The fans are at 30%. And who has the greatest opportunity to affect change in the relationship? The fans can yell and scream and go nuts and can cheer like crazy for 90 minutes. That's not going to put a ball in the back of the net. They can yell and scream and go nuts. That's not going to prevent the defense from giving up a goal. The team has the best opportunity to change the dynamic in the relationship. And I'm willing to hear anyone who wants to tell me something different. The players are paid what they're paid to put the ball in the back of the net or to keep the ball out of our net. It's that simple. There's a salary cap, so it's not like it's Burnley going against City. It's not like, Inter going against Salernitana. But it's pretty much a level playing field here.
Yeah.
So the team needs to perform at a certain level to keep the fans engaged. And the fans, at times when the team's struggling, need to start, letting the players know that we got their back. After the first goal, I felt like the fans did that. I feel like the fans, after the first goal, still cheered, come on, let's go, let's get back into it. The second goal was like, okay, you could kind of feel the air kind of get sucked out of the bins.
Yeah.
And then the third goal, it was apoplectic. It was just like, okay, all right. And I get it. I can't fault fans for not cheering when the team gives up the third goal or trying to get the team back into it. What do you want them to do?
Yeah.
At some point we have to be realist about this. It's not like there's mountains of cocaine being distributed through the stadium and everyone's just like, loaded to the gills, screaming their heads off the entire time. It's not an Iron Maiden show. Who can affect change immediately in the relationship? It's the team. The fans need to be the ones who, when the team is busting their ass and they're doing their best, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But when in the times of challenge, when the players really need that boost, the fan base needs to be there. There's a balance to this. Don't scream your effing ish at your own players. That doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
It helps you have a good time, maybe, it helps the beer go down a little bit easier, but it doesn't help your team. But and yeah, airborne. There's no Inter has no cap. That doesn't apply to them. They're playing on cheat mode.
Yes.
There's no evidence for me to back that other than observation and reality. But
And by the way, Olivier Giroud has confirmed he's leaving Milan at the end of the season ahead of the move to LAFC. He's quoted as saying, "My career will continue in MLS. It's the right time to announce it. My story with Milan ends this year," end quote.
He's got a lot in the tank. He keeps himself in really good shape. He's, he'll be over here. He'll be healthy. But,
Well, and here comes the handsome men of Major League Soccer calendar for 2025.
Well, yeah, he's got an identical twin who looks like Olivier Giroud cosplaying as Jesus. So, if scientists really want to start figuring things out, let's get the cloning project on those dudes going.
Let's figure out what's up with the Giroud clan.
Yeah, we need to start doing the genetic sequencing on those guys and figure out like what the hell the combination is.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and like I said, it's a quick turn for Atlanta United. You've got Cincinnati on Wednesday, then you're in Nashville on Saturday, and that'll be also the next time. That is going to be the Atlanta United Equinox on Saturday, because I'm calling the Academy match at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. You've got the noon match, or the 1:00-er, with Atlanta and Nashville. Then you've got the unified match at Geodis after that. Then after that, it's a 2-hour drive to Huntsville for the Twos and Huntsville City Football Club at 8:00 Eastern Time Saturday night.
You're driving?
No. Jason and possibly Mike and possibly Maddie might be going from Nashville to Huntsville. I'm staying here. I'm calling the domestic match. I'm calling the Academy match.
Yeah.
Jason, Mike, they're calling the first team match. I think the Hoff might be involved with Jason calling the unified, and then it's whoever packs themselves into the car and drives to Huntsville for match number 4 is how it's going to work.
Ooh, Rocket City. Okay.
So yeah, so it is the Atlanta United Equinox on Saturday, by the way. Yeah, I think this is the first time that we have ever had 4 matches in a day involving various sides of Atlanta United that will be available on platforms for everyone. So there you go.
Interesting. All
yeah.
right.
So the Atlanta United Equinox is coming on Saturday. So it's going to be fun to see how it's pulled, how this is orchestrated and or pulled off.
Yeah. I'm trying not to let the inner voice win at the moment. So.
Oh.
yeah. I'll save that one. I'll keep that one in the chamber.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But yeah, just Google Operation Paperclip and but yeah, I have thoughts about Huntsville. But anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Hunt City's done. Hunt City, it was great to start our season with them, calling Blast Off Battle and being there for that. And so it'll be fun to see everybody that's up there. What else is on your mind involving Atlanta United? I know that a lot of folks are talking about it in the Twitch pitch, and that's what I want them to do. I want them to get it out of their system today and tomorrow, so that way we can, as Four Card said, we're moving on to Cincinnati. That's what Four Card said he's doing. He's moving on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, look, here's the reality of the situation is this. Nothing really good's happening right now on the field for the 90, except for the fact that the players appear to be busting their asses. If you have nothing else, you have that. And everything starts with busting your ass on the field. You can't press if you're not busting your ass. You can't move quickly down the field to bust your ass. You got to start from something. Let's start with that and work our way up. And the next achievable thing is what we achieve, right? Yes, for the past few Mondays, it has been, we got to get it out of our system. I guarantee you at the training ground, they're having the exact same damn conversation.
Yeah.
It is something where if you've been around athletes, I can think of a few times where it has appeared that a player has been more about themselves than the team.
Mm-hmm.
I was down in Tampa Bay. I was working for the Buccaneers. Keyshawn Johnson, it was after a loss. Everyone was infuriated. Warren Sapp was about to turn a truck over. And Keyshawn Johnson was talking about himself in third person.
Not a table of pasta.
Talking about how Keyshawn Johnson is the greatest receiver in the National Football League. Well,
just throw me the damn sandwich.
Yeah, and so at the time, Jerry Rice was playing for the Raiders, I think, and they said, "Well, Jerry Rice is still in this league." Keyshawn Johnson is the greatest receiver in the National Football League. I don't get any of that vibe from this Atlanta United team. That there's any players who are like feeling like they're above busting their asses on this. Yeah, it's, work harder, not smarter. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Working smart, trying to be too smart in the 18 is not working. Hammer, nail, simplify. Punch harder, punch faster. That's it. We're not trying to dance. We're not trying to, do anything. You're in the damn corner right now. There's no cutting. There's no bobbing. There's no weaving. The only way out is forward. Mm-hmm. That's it. We're not going backwards. We're not going sideways. The only way is forward. And how do you do that? You accept the fact you're going to get punched in the teeth and you start issuing your own. Okay. My grandfather was a Gold Gloves boxer. It was incredible. He's a flyweight. He was like, God, was it like 100 and he had like 115 wins, right? 5 losses, avenged all his losses. He ended up becoming a boxing coach down in Savannah. There was a kid who was just getting pummeled. Kid comes back to the corner. My papa looks at him and says, "Son, it's okay to punch back, right?" And the kid went out and, put up a good fight. At some point, you just got to go out on your shield. And that's all you have. I don't give a damn about winning a trophy. I don't think we're getting any this year. If we get one, it's great. But I do want the team to go out on their shield. If you're going out, go out fighting. And if you can't do that, then get your ass to the bench or get off the damn field. I love Dax McCarty. I think Dax came in and put on some big old dad energy and started whooping some ass. I was a big fan of that. I want players on the field. I don't care if they're 45 years old. I don't care if they're 18, 17. Give me players who are going out on their shield. You get me that, and I can survive the rest.
Hi, Jarrett.
Hello.
It's been another group therapy Monday, and you're out with the birds, so I can understand that you're becoming one with the environment, with the energy therein.
I'm just going to merge into nature is what's going to happen. Yeah, that's how I solve my problems. How we feeling?
Oh,
bad.
There's been some. The group therapy Monday has had its share of spleen venting this morning. That's not a surprise.
Yeah. And to Nick's point, which I caught the manifesto at the end. This is the same reason why I have and Mataflo and I have been going back and forth on this jokingly for 2 weeks now. Why I am on the start Luke Brennan bandwagon. We saw in the Open Cup. Mm-hmm. I'm going to phrase this in a way that isn't meant to be mean. Don't take this the wrong way.
Sure.
Luke Brennan's what, 18?
Mm-hmm. 18, 19, yeah.
He's too dumb to be afraid. Kids are too dumb to be afraid sometimes, man. Put him out there. Mm-hmm. Because you're not getting anything off the left wing. Evan Mosqueda's a great bench piece. He's a great guy to come in 20 minutes left in the game, run at people, and make them miserable.
I think that's
he's
where
not a starter. Yeah, he's not.
And you could tell that Edwin, after 35 minutes in the first half, it looked like his tank
was done.
His tank was on D. It was past E.
Yeah. It's kind of like where's Rich when I need him? It's kind of like Ilsinho was in Philly. Ilsinho wasn't a starter. Ilsinho could not start for Philly if his life depended on it. But you bring him on in the 75th minute, he's going to make something happen.
Yeah.
That's what Edwin is. Edwin being asked to be more than that, I think, is asking for disappointment. If Shonda can't start the kid. You got nothing to lose at this point. I mean, you have nothing to lose. Of the games you've played recently, this was the worst one. I didn't think you were bad in a lot of the other ones. Philadelphia, you outplayed Philadelphia. You screwed up. That, honestly, the back pass, where Mosquera makes the right decision but doesn't execute it well.
Yeah.
That feels like the fulcrum for everything, man. Because, like, go back to where you were emotionally, mentally trying.
Okay, so you're quantum leaping back to the Mosquera moment.
Yes, quantum leaping back to Mosquera for just a minute. It's the right decision. His teammates backed him up on that, as they should have. It's Philadelphia. Just get it back to Goose. He mishits it. Go back to that moment. And I know it's hard because right now everybody's in a bad mood, and I understand. I relate to that. That, to me, is the fulcrum moment where everything just downhills. Because then you get the lead in Cincy. Almada makes a really, really dumb decision to play a short corner that Lennon's not ready for, and then you get burned the other way.
Right.
You don't score in Chicago where you were better than Chicago. You weren't great against Minnesota. You made individual mistakes that screwed you over.
But I think you were better than Minnesota.
I don't, though. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. You were kind of like stuck in the mud a bit. This Saturday was the worst of those performances.
Right.
And you picked a terrible time for it because DC is a beatable team. DC has a plan.
Yeah.
DC's plan is it is number one, Christian Benteke. Number two, question mark. Number two is a series of question marks, and number three is the word profit.
Yeah.
It helps when he's going up against, Noah Cobb, who's asked to do a really tough task. I did not think that Cobb was great, but it's a tough task, and I don't think he got as much support from Luis Abram as he needed in that moment, or any of the defensive midfielders. Like, you're asking your kid to do a really tough task. He's gonna need help, and I didn't think he got that help, and you got stretched out.
Yeah.
But that was the worst performance, and it's when you didn't need it, and I think the players are as much as we are. And look, I think we're in the end game managerial wise. I think we are in the end game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of time. Speaking personally and not speaking for everyone here,
right?
Not speaking for you, not speaking for Nick. I would just go ahead and do it. Don't drag it out. And I get you have a busy schedule coming up. You play Wednesday in Cincinnati. You go to Nashville in what's going to be, depending on how Cincinnati goes, Nashville's going to be an absolute mid-off.
Yeah.
Because Nashville got their own set of problems.
Yeah.
And they are extensive.
Yeah.
Like Surridge scoring that hat trick last week was great. It just kind of like, it'd be like if it's kind of like if Atlanta, rolled up like a 4-1 victory in the middle of all this. If Atlanta rolled up a 4-1 victory and we came in here, would we be going, great, let's turn around? You'd be going, that's a great step, but there's still problems, as you should, because it's still not right. But you've got a busy schedule, so I get if you don't want to do anything crazy, but man, just if I think we're kind of in the end game where we know where this is going, I would prefer just to go ahead and do it. Because I would imagine if I had to put juice boxes on it, if I had to put juice boxes on it, I would imagine Rob would go to interim. You would do an extensive search from there.
Yeah.
But at this point, it just feels like that's where it's headed. So just go ahead and do it.
Well, but then let me ask you this, because the players are still, to use the same word twice in 3 letters or 3 words. Because the players are still playing for Gonzalo, does that not give you a longer leash than the last 8 minutes that you've been discussing it? If they weren't, then I'm guessing that it probably would have happened sooner in your mind. But because they are still playing for the club and for Gonzalo, does that?
That's I don't think they quit on him. I know people speculated that. I don't think they have.
Right.
I think they were pressing like hell, because whether or not the players get criticism publicly for stuff, they're going to feel that criticism internally.
Yeah.
And they know that they have to be better. Like, they were as lackluster as Saturday was. There's a lot of really bad individual performances in there that they know they have to be better in.
Right.
I will say that if I had my druthers, I would be going all the way in on US Open Cup. And if that means that I'm rotating in Nashville, then I'm rotating in Nashville. Because if you beat Charleston,
you've got
Detroit, you've got NYC2 sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the US Open Cup.
So here's how it looks.
It's a much easier path to a trophy. Now, does a trophy save a guy? I don't think so.
No.
But if you want hardware, and you want hardware that is accessible, then that's where I'm going personally. Is I'm saying I'm going to go try and beat Charleston in Charleston, and from there I'm going to try and pick out a trophy sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
And Dell, just because they haven't quit on him doesn't mean you have to keep him. Agreed. That my thing is, I don't think they quit on him, and that was a lot of accusation Saturday night that I thought was unfounded, and I think it kind of got mixed up with the dislike of the current manager,
right,
to then accuse the players of quitting on him. I didn't see, and Nick, I won't speak for you, I didn't see a team that quit on him. I saw a team that was pressing like hell and was almost like, because Amelia and I were messaging back and forth about this. There are moments with this team, and not the whole team, not the whole structure, not the game plan, not the game model, individual performances, where they are, it's almost like if you've ever watched a pitcher who's inside his own head and he starts trying to aim his fastball instead of just throwing. That's what it looks like. Like everybody's hitting passes like they're trying to hit everything perfectly.
Yeah. Like
they're thinking way too much. Now, whether, they're whatever the hell they're thinking about, I don't know what it is, but it honestly at times looks like they're thinking too much. Like, I'm begging you guys to just stop thinking for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And just play loose, because everyone looks so tightly wound. Mm-hmm. They read the tweets, they read the stories, they know what's going on. They're not dumb.
Yeah.
But at some point you gotta find a way to clear your head and be able to move forward. And I don't know that that's going to happen right now, man. Like, you had a series of games. We were talking about this in the Discord. 3 straight road losses. I'm like, for me, it should have been wins. You were up on Cincy at home. You should have beaten them. I don't accept a draw there. You should have beaten them. You were up at home. Mm-hmm. You should have beaten Minnesota. Minnesota's not doing anything life-changing.
Yep.
Minnesota's good. They're very solid. They're good at what they do. It's not a diss on them, but it is tough to win on the road in this league. But Atlanta has made it easy for teams to come in here and do that, because I think they are in their own heads. They are pressing, and it's almost like they're thinking too much about everything instead of just playing the damn game, man. And then, Saturday is just, you knew exactly what they were going to do. And I think Tom and Michael were talking about, I think you were talking about Abram. Look, Abram is my backup at this point. Abram is there because, Stian Gregerson and Williams and Derek Williams are out. Like, if I have my first choice, it's those guys. I'm not starting Abram. I like Abram as a depth guy, but to me, those guys earned those starting spots. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate that you had injuries there, and you want guys to step up, but that doesn't excuse the fact that, those injuries don't excuse the fact that it just in the midfield and the attack, it looks like guys are overthinking things.
Yeah.
And they're trying to be perfect when you don't have to be perfect. And it just, some of it just looks joyless, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think for me is right now, some of it just looks joyless.
Yeah, and yeah, that happens when you press. 10:30, which means palate cleanser on a group therapy Monday, and it's time to bring in Drew. And I don't know how much of a palate cleanser this is for Drew, considering what happened this past weekend, where Old Trafford was once again exposed for having a leaky roof and needing roof repair. So, Drew, vent away, sir, as we kind of get into prim and proper and you get to vent your spleen for 10 minutes.
Well, one good thing I can say is that at least it wasn't leaking goals inside Old Trafford, which is kind of different. It's just gotten to a point now to where can it just get over with? Can we get to the FA Cup final and get to the summer and figure out what we're going to do? Because, I could argue that it was one of the worst Manchester United lineups that I've ever seen put out on paper and on the field on Sunday, when the boss has to go to people, Casemiro still playing at center back, arguably in fault for that goal that Arsenal scored. Besides that goal, can't really count on a single hand of the chances that Arsenal had compared to Man United's chances that once again they flourish away. They squander so many opportunities. I mean, look, I get that Garnacho's 19. I get that he's young, but I was reading the other day that someone said, "Oh, he's going to learn. He'll get better." Look, I totally disagree, because I don't know how you learn to become a finisher. You learn tactics. You learn the way your coach wants you to play. Finishing inside the 18, you don't learn that. That's a skill. That's something that you're born with. And if this is something that's going to become a trend, then yeah, let's get in Olise. Let's figure out a way to get Ahmad more playing time. Because if you saw what I saw, Ahmad Diallo was the best offensive player on the field for Manchester United yesterday. And that's not saying much, but the way that he, at his own will, just destroyed the left back and the center backs of Arsenal, his skill set, the way he kept the ball on his shoelace. One thing that Manchester United still cannot figure out is in-game. And I don't know if that's Ahmad's fault, if that's structurally a way that they have to figure out, continuously trying to figure out what the manager wants to do. But here's a fun stat for you real quick.
Okay.
Erling Haaland, how many goals did he score this weekend?
I believe the answer is 0.
Haaland?
How many did he How many did he score?
Well, he scored a lot. He scored 3 or 4. My point is that he had 6 chances for him against Fulham. United, and that's one game for your striker. United have created 8 chances for Højlund in the last 6 games. So it's going to be really hard for your center forward to find confidence, let alone find goals. You saw his confidence. He had 2 times one inside the 6, one inside the 18 yesterday, to where he panicked. He did not know what to do. And whether that's confidence, whether that's skill, I'm just really tired of hearing, "Oh, he's going to get better. Oh, he's going to do this. Oh, he's going to do that." No, he has had all season. This whole narrative of, "Oh, he doesn't get many crosses." Well, you got to finish your chances when you have them. And again, I don't want to, beat a dead horse, but it's just a trend all season long. And I said it in the 3D, John. People have been clamoring, crying, screaming, bench Rashford, bench Bruno. Well, 2 games in a row, they've been quote unquote benched. They haven't played. And look what you get. 0 creativity and 0 speed in behind the defense. And to wear the 11 where you hate him, Rashford is so crucial to the way Ten Hag wants to play. I don't know. But one thing I do know is that I'm tired of putting everything on the manager. At some point, this new management, this new ownership has to figure out a way to quote unquote blame the players. Because if the old regime was still in, Ed Woodward would re-sign Casemiro. He'd already have done it, kept him on the same wages. You know, it's just I said a couple weeks ago that it could be $60 million on the payroll cleared out this summer from just a handful of players, John, who don't even play that much. I mean, Anthony Martial, like one, he makes $500,000 every 2 weeks. And when's the last time Martial has played?
1974.
You would think, you know what I mean? So I don't really have much anger or much, grief to bring in to the Monday recap, just because I wasn't upset with the way that the boys played, because it was kind of expected. And one thing that I do want to note, and I want people to really understand this, because Arsenal weren't poor, Man United weren't great. Arteta just said, you want to beat me? Break me down. He essentially parked the bus and let Man United come at them. And it's just a scene that you've seen all year long. Man United can't, let alone break down a Luton Town. So what makes anyone think that they're going to break down an Arsenal, who I've said on this show have the best defense in Europe?
Mike Dudley, over the right. Ridiculous.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, we got to make you feel at home here.
I feel good.
I mean,
feel better now.
That's what I figured. Halftime with Drew, as we go through prim and proper the review and events about his beloved United. That was some sexy roof work that's got to get done on Old Trafford, man. That was kind of the personification, I think, of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Some of the photos and even some of the videos taken by, my first time being in Old Trafford was in the Stretford End, about 10 rows behind the goal. And if I were sitting there yesterday, I think that could have changed a huge perception on where I'd ever want to sit again, because not let alone the rain, the leaks were like waterfalls in an abandoned forest somewhere. I mean, how embarrassing is that? You're quote unquote the most, come out just this past week, we're the most expensive club, expensive footballing club in the world. Well, can you tell? Because look at Real Madrid. They've got arguably the best sporting stadium in the entire world.
I thought that was Spurs, man.
Well, I mean, look, you got to have at least 80,000 in there to be called something like that. Spurs, what is the new White Hart Lane fit? 70,000, 60,000
stadium capacity. So let's do that.
United still have. Old Trafford still has 75,000, which is still, I believe, top attendance in
62,850, the third largest football stadium in England. 62,850, the largest club ground in London.
And with the crappy Old Trafford, they still hold more than 10,000 seats. I've always said that the backbone and the DNA of Manchester United, besides like Fergie and, the Busby Babes and the class of 92, the Champions League treble win in 99, Old Trafford is the heart and soul of the football club.
Until they build a new one.
Well, exactly. That's wherein lies my point. But how long is – all right. So here's my question. With 25% ownership, is this enough for Ineos to want to build a new stadium, or are they going to wait to try and pry some of those stocks away from the Glazers, who are just pieces of just filth? I mean, hopefully they saw what they created yesterday in the leaks, because I'll tell you this: there's no excuse me, there's no leak in
You're trying to get us the explicit rating on a Monday. I see how this works.
There's no leaks in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stadium. I guarantee you that. Raymond James, it's locked.
Everything just flows downhill in the pirate ship anyway.
Absolutely. So, but again, I digress. I don't want to be that person, but it is what it is. So, you have these architects and these AI people come up with great, grandiose stadiums, which is great. Fine. Where are you going to put it? Where are they going to play while it's being built?
You'll play at the Etihad. Where do you think you're going to play?
Listen to you. Could you imagine that? Mm-hmm. Could you imagine that? First off, I don't think that'll happen. What I guess could happen is kind of the same thing that happened with White Hart Lane. They'll walk 10 steps to the left and start building the new one.
Yeah, they'll build it right next door. Then they'll keep playing at the old one while they're building the new one, and then we'll walk right next door.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And again, you've already heard the sport. I mean, I guess if they're in control of the sporting aspect of the club,
Yep.
them being in control of the new grounds and the new training property, that's fine and dandy with me because the POS owners who we've had since 06 haven't done anything. So just having conversations, whether they're real, rumored innuendo or whatnot, just having the conversations of a possible new Old Trafford. I'm starting to come to light. I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
And it's not an oncoming train?
Well, we're not talking about the play on the field. I'm just talking about building a new stadium, which look, it didn't do much for Spurs. They didn't really attract much new players. Actually, they forced one of their players to leave when a new stadium was built in Harry Kane, who couldn't get out of there faster. So I don't know what that means for United. Oh, building a new stadium, this and that. Let's get some young players in who want to play for the badge and who want to play for the club and aren't too concerned about going and getting drunk in Dublin and faking sick or worrying about how long they can play FIFA throughout the middle of the night, knowing they have training the next day without playing 2 weeks and then not really feeling it. Say, I'm going to be injured, Varane. So I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited about the summer. But listen, if you think that those players aren't going to be back and ready to embarrass us for the FA Cup final, you're wrong because Rashford will start. Bruno will be back, which I'm okay with. But just before I get out of here, I do want to say I'm a little embarrassed. I was under the complete impression that Bruno and Marcus were fit and ready to play on Sunday. And it just enhances my ponder of, are these legit injuries? I mean, are we really going to sit here and say that 2 wins away from Europa and we're going to fake injuries to be fit for the FA Cup? No, let's be real. They want to be fit for the Euros. And let me ask you this, Mason Mount, is he even going to play in the Euros? I mean, so I'm just trying to figure out all of this, all these injuries. And for the last time, and I don't want to be asked about it again. I don't care what happens until the end of the season. Ten Hag in. Wow. I don't want to start over, John. I don't.
Wow. Okay.
I don't.
All right. So then as we get you out of here, I guess we got a little bit of this. And it has to do where folks can see you. You, sir, get to be behind the mic for things that are not on Monday or Friday on broadcast television.
No, not at all. Not at all. If you don't have any plans this Sunday, it's going to be a beautiful day. Come on out to Das Barbecue in Atlanta, Georgia, 350 Memorial Drive, Atlanta, Georgia. Come on out. Check out your favorite independent wrestling company, Deep South Wrestling. Bell time 5 p.m. And you can catch yours truly at the announce table, calling the action live and in living color, if you will, baby.
Oh, and by the way, if you missed it last night on A&E, the Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes rivalries episode, tremendous, although they could have spent an entire hour on Starrcade 85.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. People talk all the time, oh, that topic's been beat to heck and back. I don't care. I'll listen to that. I'll listen about those two all day. I couldn't agree more. 85, even Dusty getting his leg broken in the – I mean, just so much history. Listen, we'll get on up on the soapbox on that. Let's not. But, no, we got United this week. Oh, no, we got United Wednesday.
Wednesday and Saturday.
Newcastle. Who I mean, Maddie and I are in the same boat. I mean, just up, down. We don't know what team we're gonna get, where we're gonna finish. So it'll be an exciting matchup. I'm excited just for the game. I can't say I'm excited for much else. But we'll just wait and see.
Rapid fire for you before we go. Dell is asking questions from Charleston. What do you do with Casemiro? Quick.
Let's hope that there's a big enough offer from Saudi Arabia. If there was health, he wouldn't play anymore this season. Yes, and I think Ten Hag will notice that Kambwala will need to get the minutes, and it's not so much as Casemiro isn't as good or Kambwala is better. Casemiro he just doesn't care. The offside, the walking up, and being lazy that caused the first goal. That was it for me. And, with Garnacho, I don't want to say it's gotten worse. I just, we're getting into true colors. When players don't have players around them that they're used to, i.e. Bruno, i.e. Marcus. And look, the kid's playing on the left. He's playing on the right. I think that Garnacho will be fine. Again, he's young. He's played so much. And it's the same with Kobe Mainu. There's not much, when you're that age, you shouldn't be relied on that much. And Bruno, yes, he's the glue. Of course, he's the glue. People want to complain about him. He's a whiny baby. Yeah, he is for sure. He's not going to be Roy Keane. We get that. But Bruno is the glue. And no, Ten Hag should stay because, like I've said all along, United can't get up for Burnley, but they'll get up for the FA Cup and they'll make it a game just like they did last year. How many players would you keep? 5. Andre Onana, Bruno Fernandes, Kobe Mainu, Alejandro Garnacho, and 6 with Højlund and Rashford. But Rashford's sensitive for me, so I'm keeping him no matter what.
And someone posted they should run next to Alex.
No, listen. I'm sick and tired of living in the past. That has been that era is over and done with, and people living in the past are the reason why the club is in the way that it is today, because they expect FA Cup final every year. They expect the Premier League title every year. Let Fergie be Fergie. Let him enjoy watching it. Other than that, I don't think he should step anywhere near anything that has to do with any decision making, because it'll undermine Ten Hag. And I think Ten Hag has been undermined plenty of times, doesn't need anymore.
All right, that's the voice of Deep South Wrestling at Dickinson JR18 on the Twitters. Be safe, my friend. We'll see you soon.
All right, we'll see everybody on.
Look at that!
Look at me, love it.
Wow.
The spotlight is where it should be. No, I'm just kidding. I will have a new 3D out. I may do one tomorrow for a preview of Newcastle, but if not, you'll definitely hear a new 3D on Friday afternoon.
All right. Well, then that's the best part, is that we get to see all of this stuff with you, Drew. Be safe, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk soon.
All right. That's Drew.
Mike Dudley's over the ride. Ridiculous.
All right. That's your palate cleanser for the day. I figured Drew coming in to vent about Manchester United at 10:30, as he always does, would be good. One of the things that I wanted to get into outside of Atlanta United has to do, and Nick, I don't know if you saw this, Jarrett and I, in our production chain, we've been kind of talking about it. Things kind of got off the rails with NYCFC and Toronto FC. Nick, I don't know if you saw this, but after the match was over, post-game handshake line, Sean Johnson wanted about 10 pounds of flesh from somebody from NYC.
I saw the clip.
I mean, it was completely and totally just out of control. And the intimations were there post-match from John Herdman that Nick Cushing took a swing at a player for Toronto FC, and Jonathan Osorio backed it up in the post-match presser.
I mean, if you take a swing at somebody, you get what's coming to you. Sometimes, you land the punch and, you get to be the big man for a minute, and then 2 seconds later, you're catching 5 across the face and you're on the ground. So, I mean, look, it's a non-story for me. It's fun. It's fun theater. If somebody took a swing and things get rowdy, great. No, it doesn't change anything. My thoughts on Herdman is that he's a wrestling heel, and outside of that, nothing changes. I hate to be the buzzkill. I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. To me, it's just it's a non-story. Okay, great. Teams are fighting. Great, awesome. Eyeballs and clicks. That's all it is.
Okay, so Jarrett, here's what Tommy Scoop said after the match. Herdman alleges Nick Cushing punched in the face a 19-year-old Toronto player. I think
Marshall Ruddy.
Yeah, the only 19.
It would have to be. That's the only one who fits the description.
The only 19-year-old is Jaquil Marshall Ruddy. Cushing categorically denies the allegation. Herdman goes post-match. He says, quote, "That was the off-record report that came into the dressing room at halftime from a 19-year-old who said he got cornered and punched in the face. Herdman said when asked directly if he was alleging that Cushing punched one of his players. The alleged incident happened at halftime in the previous match between the two teams, March 16 at Yankee Stadium. Herdman obviously never mentioned Marshall Ruddy by name. I can honestly say, as a head coach, I've done 348 games. I've never, ever laid a finger on a player. Nick Cushing told John Molinaro and Neil Davidson of the Post and CP. Herdman said nothing came of the alleged incident because, quote, the cameras weren't working in certain areas of the stadium. Jonathan Osorio, quote, their coach talks and says things to certain players that crosses the line. When we hear their coach and 3 players cornered a 19-year-old of ours by himself, that's going to be a problem. We were just letting them know we didn't forget about that, end quote. And then that was what led to Sean Johnson and Strahinja Tanasiewicz. You said got Herdman charging and bumping Cushing, and then they were separated at the beginning of the clip that was issued by our friends at The Athletic.
So here's the thing about this. The whole camera thing is playing out like a damn, like, this is Vince McMahon writing a storyline.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to deal with this bullshit personally.
There it is. All right.
But here's the thing, man. If you're going to lay these kind of allegations, like, somebody needs to be losing their job.
Mm-hmm.
If Nick Cushing's laying his hands on a player, he needs to be fired.
Yep.
If John Herdman is submitting reports and claiming that another coach attacked one of his players and it didn't happen, then Herdman needs to be fired.
Yep.
Because there's a serious accusation. Somebody needs to lose a job on this. I don't know who.
Yep.
Y'all need to y'all need to sit down and figure this out. Don't know how you do that.
Yep.
But you can't just, like, the whole fact that you're just throwing around these accusations. And I get that it came to a head with everybody wanting to go at it and wanting a piece of each other. But, like, I don't get why. Like, and I saw that Tommy Scoops mentioned it, and I agree. It's like, I don't know why it wasn't talked about more from people. I'm like, these are the kind of accusations that lead to people getting fired.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of accusations that, if they're untrue, should also lead to getting people being fired.
Exactly.
See, former University of Florida coach lying about, his family being threatened online or embellishing that, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
Like, you start making accusations like that. If they're not true, then that's awful. If they are true, yeah, Nick Cushing needs to go.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think we get enough problems here in Atlanta without worrying about Nick Cushing and John Herdman getting into a he said about it. And yeah, man, it's just, I want one normal weekend, and I'll never get it in my life.
No, that's not going to happen. But yeah, I wanted to
I need people to act like adults, and they're not going to do that either.
No.
So whatever.
No, so I mean, we may as well just go ahead and dial back the number to 0 when it comes to incidents.
Yeah, days since last incident.
Yes, days since last incident. We go back to 0.
Look, it got policed. Like, my thing is this: if MLS finds that Herdman's right, Cushing's got to go.
Yes.
Right. Jarrett nailed it. If they find that Cushing did not do anything remotely of what he's being accused of, and Herdman put this out publicly, Herdman's got to go. It's that simple. It's binary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, there was a brawl, right? So if they don't have any evidence either way, we can't confirm or deny any of it, then it got settled in their little beef and they all move on.
So you're saying it's the code basically that took care of it?
Yeah. It's like, to me, it's like baseball. It's like what the Houston Astros player tried knocking the ball out of the first baseman's glove, and then he took a 99-mile-an-hour shot to the ribs. Pleases itself. If some player got a couple of rabbit punches, from Johnson as a result of this, it policed itself. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
He punched a 19-year-old. If he did punch a 19-year-old, again, be fired. But if not,
it doesn't help. Yeah. It doesn't help that the fact that this league does not actually seem like it, ever publicly discloses what they investigate, and there's no transparency in this league at all. We still don't know what Bruce Arena did to get suspended and then fired.
Right.
We don't.
That's why there's no point in wasting energy on it. There's no point. If there's tape, great. Show me the tape. If there's not tape, then okay, fantastic. Let's move on.
If you show me the tape, by the way, I need you to do it like a backstage segment of WWE. Just have
Yeah.
the TV wheeled in on a cart and both of them standing around it, looking at it. Yeah.
So Nick, this is you. We found this video, and this is you. Is this you? Were you wearing this on March 16th? I don't know if that was me or not. Then you like zoom in and you get the pixelated image, and then you do the fancy fixing, and then all of a sudden it's revealed that it is Nick Cushing. That
then Nick Cushing needs to be fired. But yeah, we do have our own problems to deal with in this city with this club right now, and trying to figure out how you can uncapsize a ship. But yeah.
This is a shocking thing to anyone who's not involved in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
For all of us who love professional wrestling, it's like, okay, this is an angle. It's a work.
Now, of all the John Herdman is like on the top of my list of people who could work themselves into a shoot without trying. To be fair.
Yeah.
With the Ludwig Kaiser haircut that he currently has.
Yeah, that went out a while ago, by the way. You gotta get that thing.
You gotta get back to a normal hairstyle.
Yeah, you gotta get back to a normal hairstyle. That's out.
Yeah.
January 6th cut is no longer fashionable.
Wow. Wow.
Anyway.
Send your hate mail to Nicolifi, care of.
Whose autobiography will have the Bruce Arena story in it? Man, Dell, I don't even know where to begin with that. It's a great question. By the way, Charleston beating Atlanta after needing 120 minutes and 121 minutes and 45 seconds to beat South Georgia Tormenta would be the most Open Cup thing ever.
Oh man. I mean,
which was hilarious because all the USL people I follow were like, yeah, this tracks. There is something about Tormenta in the Open Cup that is just an absolute, they are executing a low grade terror campaign against USL Championship. They do it every year. It took an undefeated Charleston Battery team 120 plus minutes to get Tormenta up out of the tournament. No one else has been able to do it consistently over the years. It's just some weird thing with Tormenta just shows up at the Open Cup and they just walk down to the ring with brass knuckles and a steel chair every time.
And that's the thing. It's like never discount South Georgia Tormenta in a tournament setting.
Look, I don't care. Oh, Dell's saying we didn't start our best 11. I don't care. Look, whoever you put out there,
it was still hilarious because of the way it's the Open Cup, man. It's the magic of the cup.
It was like
that's what matters here is the magic of the cup.
It's like Olsen saying oh yeah, we got knocked out, and we're still miles above. No, you're not. Not today. You weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Any other day you may be, but today you weren't. And so if you put you put your squad out there, and if you elect to put the kids squad out and you get caught in a situation, like Rocky and Apollo, where, Tormenta decides they're going to go the damn distance,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, baby, that's the fight you chose.
Mm-hmm. And now that you don't get me started on Olsen, Dell says.
Oh! See, here's my favorite part about Olsen doing that, and Dell will understand this better than most. Fine, we'll move on wrestling. Jeez, you people are zero fun sometimes.
I know. I'm all in on wrestling. You're not getting me off of wrestling.
But so here's the thing that Dell will be able to relate to better than a lot of people. Olsen going after Detroit is a decision because Detroit might possibly have the most obnoxious group of ultras in USL.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's 100%, but buddy, they are right there. And Jeremy Jam from Parks and Rec showing up to a late night show decked out in Detroit gear was just so on the nose. I was about to scream.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Detroit makes a deep run in this tournament and they make the deepest USL run, you're going to hear about it for years.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what happens next year. It doesn't matter if the Battery win the Open Cup next year. It doesn't matter. You're going to hear about it from Detroit for a long time. Those people are just pretty much insufferable.
Yeah. Le Rouge.
Yes, sir. Yes. See, if you end up with an Atlanta-Detroit game in the Open Cup,
Oh, man.
that's going to be amazing. Even if it's like Charleston, Detroit with stakes, if it's anybody in Detroit, they're just, man, RIP to Ben Olsen's DMs, because you know that the Detroit fans saw that and they just started absolutely lighting it up. I mean, it's like if you went on a Georgia Southern message board in the mid 2000s and started talking about, I think the triple option is the way of the dinosaur, and there's nothing really there's no real success or glory for you to gain from playing like this. And then you just walked away. You pulled the pin on the grenade, you dropped it in the middle of the mess hall, and you walked out.
Oops. Sorry about that. I don't know what came over me. What just came out of my mouth just now? I have no idea. Just one of those things.
Who's
But,
staticking? Is that
probably
me?
Jared with a phone close to his headset.
Yes.
Ah,
Well, I'm plugged into my phone, so
okay.
there you go.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Anyway.
but no, I know a lot of folks were wondering about Dax McCarty's comments, and basically he says, well, yeah, we're pissed off, as we should be. It's not good enough. It's unacceptable for a club like Atlanta United to lose 3 consecutive home games and what is it now, 5 or 6 winless? I mean, it's unacceptable, and yeah, we're not happy about it. Then Dax says that you need to have some accountability, and you need to have guys that have a little bit of backbone that can look each other in the face and look at themselves in the mirror and say, I need to be better in all facets of the game, because right now we're conceding goals too easily after a good start to the season defensively, and we're not scoring enough goals. We're disjointed in our attack, and we have a lot of work to do to get back to the cohesion and the quality that I know we have in this locker room. So the one thing that you won't see and that we aren't going to do is start bitching and moaning and pointing fingers at each other, because that accomplishes nothing. And that'll just put a lot more doubt in our minds that we can get out of this. So it's all about looking inward. Look at yourself. What can you do to help the team? Where are our shortcomings? And fix it. That's the only way we can get out of this, is to look at each other and say that it's not been good enough and that we're going to get out of it. And how do you keep things how do you keep things from turning negative? Dax says you need guys to stand up and be counted. You need guys to communicate through it. And he says, I think there's, for me right now, I think there's a little too much. How can I put this? For me, I feel like right now we all need a little bit of dose of humility. And that's everyone, collective, as a team. We can't step on the field and expect that because we're at Mercedes-Benz Stadium or because we're Atlanta United, the teams are just going to roll over and give us a win and a result. It's actually the opposite. We have to expect that we're going to get the best shot out of our team in this league, because they all want to kick our ass. And if we're not ready for that, then it's going to turn into what's been happening the last couple of weeks, which is just mistakes that lead to goals, and then that leads to frustration that we now can't get out of. And so I think, like I said, we could all use a little bit of humility, the fact that maybe we're not as good as we think we are. And the only way to do that is to go and work on the things that we need to work on and make them better and improve, which is a lot right now. We're struggling in a lot of areas, and it's not just one or two things. It's a bunch of things, and we have to fix all those. And that's from our friends at Five Stripe Final. So that is Dax McCarty in the locker room after the match that happened this past weekend. And Dax is not someone who is going to suffer fools. He is not. Absolutely not. And when you have that kind of a voice in the locker room, I think the conversations behind closed doors are going to be very interesting. And if they have not already been, I think that they're going to be very, very interesting as they get into this rough stretch here of matches in a very short period of time. Nick, what else is on your mind before we get out of here on a Monday?
You will have to take wrestling from my cold, dead hands. I will never. My brain will never stop equating real life situations to professional wrestling. It's never happening. Mm-hmm. And this is as somebody who has been bounced off of a wrestling ring more than a couple times in matches, and I had a fantastic brawl for it all at the former Club 513.
Oh wow!
In Atlanta at a punk show, believe it or not, and I had to be carried out and put behind a 15-foot barbed wire fence because I got so much heat that night.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that'll tell you.
It is-
Abby, go look at the salaries. It's professional nowadays.
It is professional. It is big time.
Yeah, man.
Big
If
time.
you're in one of the big companies, they're making six figures.
Yes,
easy.
Abby. It's all it is a
It's all staged.
predetermined ending. It's all staged.
It is a gladiatorial soap opera.
The bumps are real.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who has taken the bumps, they are very real, even though I knew who was going to win.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if you listen to more than a few radio shows in the mornings, and they have the relationship, call outs and all that, that is just as staged as professional wrestling.
Paul.
I like when they say, I caught the person I went on a date with on another date, and okay, we're going to use the voice disguiser. We're going to call them up. Okay, that is staged. All right, I know the voice actors who do it.
What?
$200 a call to be actors because you have this whenever it's a slow news day or whenever you know that you're trying to get an extra bump for your book. You have 2 or 3 of these things in a row. It is absolutely fake, predetermined, scripted, and put out there. That's why they use the voice disguiser so they can reuse the actors.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're pulling the veil back on all the things that are staged and fraudulent in life, let's open the whole kimono up. And yes, I was at the most bottom level professional wrestler. The biggest bump I took was I was supposed to be fighting this guy who was in a marching band at one point and never grew out of it.
Oh my God.
That was the guy's gimmick. And I was supposed to take a guitar to the back. And so we had this guitar and we cut it all up. So it was supposed to break. This thing was hanging on by like the thinnest of thin pieces of wood, and slammed into my back. It was supposed to shatter. And that thing stood like the Rock of Gibraltar. And that thing would boom. And I saw about 9 of everything, and then black, and then completely. The last thing I felt was my face bouncing off of the plywood ring. And then in that same match, I got punched in the face by the referee.
Oh my God.
When I went over, the crowd started climbing into the ring to kick my ass.
Wow.
And the ref, in a moment of pure genius, saw this and went, no, and then just, put a full fist right into the freaking temple. I hit the ground again. Crowd falls back, starts cheering like crazy. People are throwing like hot dogs and food and everything else. The wrestlers all come out from the back, jump in the ring in a quote unquote brawl, like, a locker room clearing brawl.
Schmaz, yeah.
And they use this to pull me out of the ring to get me out the back door. The whole way I'm getting dragged out and I'm getting punched in the ribs and the gut all the way out. They put me in the back of this dude's expedition behind this like 12-foot razor wire fence where the band would keep their gear to ensure that the skinheads in the back didn't find me.
Man, we need video of this.
I've been searching for this video since the year, like 2001.
Oh man.
So yeah, trust me, Abby. I know that I was thrown several times in that. Yeah, whenever we were constructing our ring setup and I cut my promo on the stage before the band went on, we suddenly realized halfway through my promo when the skinheads worked their way from the back to the front.
You're hitting the note.
That there was no clear way to get to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to part the crowd sort of like a fraudulent Moses. And as I'm going through, the punches started. And
Fraudulent Moses.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's going to stick with me for a while. That's going to be ingrained in my skull for a while. It's going to weld it in.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting like rabbit punched. I'm getting like shots to the kidneys, guys are kicking me in the ankles and the knees. I got combat kicked in the quad, and I get into the ring and I'm already hurting.
Uh-huh.
And then the match starts. Bandork starts getting over, and then I make the comeback. Do Macho Man Randy Savage off the top rope, elbow drop, nearly break my damn elbow in the process.
Oh, wow.
Because, you got to protect the guy, you know,
Yes.
so you're not dropping the elbow square into his rib cage.
Yeah.
So
you've got to pull your punch basically, and you've got to kind of hover the elbow.
right. And you hit him with more of the tricep than you do the actual elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, we do the finish. I go over and I've already told you guys what happened from there. So
That's amazing.
I love it. I get it,
I do want to address the four cards thing about calling Nick the Cat Williams of this.
Sure, absolutely.
Because so the infamous Cat Williams Wanda Smith moment where Cat buried Wanda for 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Continuously unburied her, and reburied her over and over and over. So actually, when that happened, I was still working for Intercom. I had a friend of mine who apparently was in the production booth when that happened.
Oh God!
And everybody just stood there, perfectly still, afraid to move, afraid to say anything. They're just like, "We have to record this." Nobody move. Nobody flinch.
Oh yeah.
Nobody breathe. They're in one room over, like nobody's moving because they know they're watching just this magical moment that is somehow going to bury one of the morning show hosts.
Yes. Yeah. And there was no recovery from that.
No. She tried to dig her way. Like if you've ever seen like the episode of Mythbusters where they talk about can you dig out of a grave like Beatrix Kiddo does in Kill Bill 2. And you can't, like the way when you do that, the displacement of the dirt is too intense. It would just bury you and kill you horribly.
Yes.
So basically she was trying to dig her way out the entire time. And Cat Williams is just standing there with a shovel, putting more dirt in the hole as it's being filled.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Let's see. According to Doug, it appears that Jamal is in training as well.
Thank God.
So you've got Jamal and Steon Gregerson training this morning for Atlanta United.
Dell asked who my favorite wrestler was. The Iron Sheik and Ric Flair.
Freebirds. Dusty Rhodes.
I love Dusty.
Kids, make sure you don't go watch the Iron Claw.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Too many people went into that like not realizing what absolutely like not even like, and I get it. There's not wrestling people in here, and that's fine. I'm going to advise you don't watch it. It's an amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
It is a just emotionally crippling story. I'm going to advise against watching it because you are not going to feel any joy in your soul after you do so. It is an emotionally crippling story.
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself.
No.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yep.
Well, yeah. The Airborne DJ says I had a favorite wrestler too when I was a child. I am 43 going on 12.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, brother. Yeah, I mean, it's for me. It was Flair. It was Dusty. It was the Freebirds and the Von Erichs and Four Horsemen and all that. No, I grew up on Georgia Championship Wrestling. So really, if you want a favorite personality, for me, it's Gordon Soley. I learned more about anatomy and physiology from Gordon Soley than I did in my ninth grade health class.
Where would we be without Steiner math?
Exactly.
Well, I can tell you that his brother was working for. He had won a race up here in Woodstock and was on like the.
It's true.
Like was on one of the boards up here.
Yeah. It was Board of Education.
Yeah, I believe Rick Rocksteiner was on the Cherokee County Board of Education.
That is true.
Well, there we go. See?
Yep.
See? Wrestling.
Right. Never forget that Kennesaw State University had a world champion wrestler before they had an NFL player drafted. Which just
there we go.
says plenty about that damn program and the.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of my money down the drain when I was a student there for a football program. And now an FBS football program that doesn't have a stadium that fits what it needs.
Correct. Well, I think they according to Michael Head, they waived that attendance capacity.
For how long? I believe Michael Head. Don't get me. I'm not doubting Michael.
Yeah.
I just for how long though?
Oh,
man?
We were going to have to build it like Bombonera in order to get it. Like you're going to have to build like a vertical wall in order to.
That would be amazing. They should do that.
I mean, well, we don't have enough of that in the United States. Okay, so let's just do that. Kennesaw.
The North
on
Point
the board.
Bombonera, the North
Kennesaw, the Bombonera of America.
Point.
That's right.
That'd be amazing. Let's see.
People showing up. I want to go look at the stadium. What else is there to do in town? There's still a Civil War store.
Yes.
Really? Oh yeah, it's still racist as hell.
Hold on. That douche canoe is still. I thought that dude died.
I don't know if he did or not. I'm pretty sure the store is still is. I don't know. I think it's still there.
Oh
Yep.
God.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Also, they shut down one of my favorite breweries in Kennesaw, which was Dry County.
Yeah, that's true.
We used to go there. Friends of mine and I used to go there, and then one time we went, and there was nothing there. And then we looked it up online, and the guy who owned it, I believe there was something about like tax fraud.
Oops.
Yeah.
That's never good.
Yeah. So
let's
it
see.
just shut down.
Yeah, it was just kind of. Let's see. Today on the TV, what to watch, where to watch it. Don't forget, get Fanatis to be a true degenerate. fntz.co/soccer down here.
Michael, no one goes to Kennesaw games, even in 2018. No, 17 or 18. I think it was 17 or 18 when they were, dude. They went to the national quarterfinal and they were playing in Sam Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And were a 4th and goal from the 2 away from upsetting Sam Houston State and going to the FCS semifinal. That Kennesaw team was beating everybody by 30 points every week, with Chandler Burke running just the most fearless triple option you've ever seen in your life, and no one went to games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone's ever going to go to games there, and it sucks because that team was an absolute delight.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Villa and Liverpool at 3 o'clock on USA. ESPN Deportes at 3 has Barca and Real Sociedad. Universo is your simulcaster. Apple TV and Season Pass. It's Fire 2 and NYCFC 2. ESPN Plus has the playoff in the Belgian Pro League with Club Brugge and Union Saint-Gilloise at 2:30. They also have Barca and Real Sociedad at 3. Women's Italian Serie A at noon on Fox Soccer Plus. Juve and Roma. Paramount Plus has the Argentine Primera at 6 and 8 with a doubleheader. Gimnasia La Plata Vélez. Union Santa Fe and Bonfield. Serie A 12:30 and 2:45. Lecce, Udinese, Fiorentina, and Monza. If you are on the south side tonight, go to Lion Creek, where we will have one of our marketing events, 7:30. Be there and get to meet me and Jason, anybody else that wants to come by and catch up with Macintosh folks and catch up with our friends from the Hat Trick Football Agency. So we got that as well tonight at 7:30 down at Lion Creek Brewing in Peachtree City. So it's going to be fun to see everybody there, and it will be really cool to catch up with folks after the season's over. Now that the high school season's over, we got our champs. We'll get back into our USL programming, NWSL, all that kind of stuff. And PSL, Jared Apotheos got the win on the weekend.
They did. That was a gutsy win. Got 2 good goals in the first half, gave up an absolute golazo, and then had to bear down defensively and just kind of survive. And they did. Head coach John Mercado, late of Clayton State, was very, very happy with that defensive performance. Once more offensively, we'll see if they can get it. Yeah, they're back home June 1st, I think.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, they're back home in June.
Yep. So catch your favorite NPSL teams here in the footprint. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there are.
USL 2 is underway, and we'll catch up with folks down there as well. Yeah, Charleston and Birmingham on Wednesday, and they get the week off. So you get Charleston and Birmingham after Tampa Bay and Birmingham played, after they played an Open Cup.
Well, to be fair, the Saturday game between Tampa and Birmingham was much more tame.
Well, because they were dead.
Well, because there was nothing left they could do. I mean, so if y'all missed this, and I don't know if y'all discussed this last week, I apologize if you did. If you missed it, so last week, Charleston and Birmingham or not Charleston, but Tampa and Birmingham were playing. Tampa had a 4-0 lead in the 82nd minute.
Uh-huh.
In the 94th minute, it was 4-4.
Uh-huh.
Then Tampa won 6-4 in 120 minutes because like those two teams together, they held hands. They went out into the desert. They found a scorpion no one knew existed. They killed it, and they drank its blood together. And the trip that resulted from that gave you a 6-4 Open Cup, whatever the hell that was.
Correct. That is absolutely true. And so that's what we have to look forward to coming up in short order with all of that stuff. So that's all I
Kaler
got.
is dead on Wednesday.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I got to go too. All right. R.I.P. Roger Corman.
All right. Be good. 98 years young, by the way, Roger.
Oof.
Yeah. So he taught us how to do movies on the cheap and do them well and have cult classics. So for Nick, for Jarrett, I'm John. Thanks for coming on. If there's anything that we forgot to get off your chest tomorrow or today, we'll get it tomorrow, obviously. And we'll continue to talk things through as we get ready on the short term for the matchup in Cincinnati. We'll see who gets to drop by and who wants to talk about stuff. That's the official term. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll be back again tomorrow morning, 9:05. For all the stuff and all the things. Since it's the end of the show, mucho plati, I'll play it safe. Means we get to do this. Be back at it again, 21 hours and 55 minutes. Bye.